order the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners on Monday, May 10th, 2021 at 6 o'clock. As always, we'll start off the invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Mendenhall if he would lead us, please.
Everybody stand, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and give you the many thanks that we should offer up to you each and every day. Father, such a beautiful day today, and we know that you're the creator of all things, and we praise you for that. Lord, for all the mothers yesterday on Mother's Day, we say thank you to them. So many people have lost their moms, and I'm very blessed to still have mine, and I just want to say how grateful I am to you, Heavenly Father. And as we come to you tonight with the business of the county, we ask for your guidance and leadership. All of these things we ask in thy precious name. Amen.
Amen. Continue to stand for our pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask for approval of the agenda.
Approve. Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We'll now move on to our public comments. When you hear your name called, if you would, just please come up here to the wireless mic, state your name, address. You'll have 4 minutes to speak. And we have just one tonight, Miss Joy Quesenberry. Commissioners, y'all got a handout on a resolution that she's going to be talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Joy Quesenberry. I live at 1180 Spainard Mill Road in Pinnacle. Even though people don't want to claim us in Stokes County, we are in Stokes County. But I am president of the Pinnacle Ruritan Club, and we passed this resolution. I think all of you have copies in front of you, in opposition to the relocation of the Pinnacle dump transfer station behind the fire department. We're opposing that, and I'll read this resolution. Whereas the Pinnacle Ruritan Club, a duly organized division of the Ruritan National Organization, does hereby approve and submit this resolution to the Stokes County Commissioners of Danbury, North Carolina. Whereas the Pinnacle Ruritan Club does hereby disagree with the proposal to locate a dump transfer station behind the Pinnacle Volunteer Fire Station on High Bridge Road. Whereas the aforementioned site would possibly become a deterrent for individuals desiring to move to Pinnacle and desiring to use the proposed Pinnacle Ruritan Community Center for family and community functions. Church and Boy Scout events would be limited in that area as well. The old mill building located on Mill Street is a hazard and would also be dangerous to the increased traffic in that area. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors and members of the Pinnacle Ruritan Club does hereby oppose the proposed location of the Stokes County dump transfer station to High Bridge Road, Pinnacle, North Carolina. Thank you very much, and for your consideration in this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to our comments for our managers and commissioner. Start with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to everybody. It's good to see you. Thanks for your participation with us in local government. I would encourage people to give us feedback on issues that we're dealing with, just like what we just heard. And there's lots of issues that we also need feedback on. So that will help us keep from making mistakes. So I appreciate you guys coming to do that tonight. And I, like I said, would encourage other people to pay close attention to what we're doing and communicate with us and give us feedback before we make critical decisions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Barney-Castle.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome everybody that's here tonight. It's been another beautiful day. I'd like to give a thanks to all the mothers for Mother's Day yesterday. It's good to see Ms. Questenberry She known me ever since I was a little boy, and I haven't seen her in years. It's great to see her.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mendenhall?
Thank you. And I also want to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you for coming out. And for everybody that is watching us on live stream, thank you for being here tonight. And I hope all the moms had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday. Mother's Day is a special day. And I don't have anything else. Just thank everyone for coming out.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Cox?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what my fellow commissioners have said. Wish everyone a belated Mother's Day. I know I enjoyed my Mother's Day, even though I had to do the cooking, some of it. But it's a good day. I appreciate everybody being here and your participation in county government. Good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. As well, good to see everybody here. Good to have those on the line. And with that, I'll pass it on to our county manager, Mr. Oakley.
I just want to thank everybody for attending today and ones that are viewing electronically. And I hope everybody's having a good day, and I hope all the mothers have a wonderful weekend. God bless everyone, and that's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll move on to the consent agenda. Ask for a motion on this.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll now move on to our information agenda. We have one item on there. Item A, the Register of Deeds Quarterly Report. Mr. Brennan Hooker.
Move that down a little bit. Good evening. Thank you for letting me be here tonight. Good to see all of you again. This is just a report on the third quarter of our fiscal year so far. It's a lot like the ones we've been getting. It's a record year. We were averaging over the last 5 years about $24,000 a month in net revenue. When I mean net revenue, I mean revenue that we keep and don't remit to the state. And this year we're closing in on about $34,000 a month. So it's about $9,500 roughly increase per month. That's the largest single year increase we've had on record. And like I've said this whole time, it's the housing market driving this. The meat and potatoes of our office is real estate recordings, and I'm sure Mr. Browder's seen it in his office. Been very, very busy. It's driving this revenue increase. Our transactions are up a lot too. We're averaging 100 to 120 extra transactions per employee in the office this year over the last 5 years. That's about all for the figures. Oh, well, I guess I can go through the report with you. You can see total revenue for the quarter at $152,964.50. And you see down there at the bottom of that first page how much the state collected, $53,175.65 for net revenue for the quarter, $99,788.85. And the number of transactions was a 20.5% increase over the last third quarter, and the revenue collected was over a 30% increase from the third quarter of the last fiscal year. So like I say, we're doing very well in that department. Other news in the office, I went to the legislative conference for our Registered Deeds Association the April 25th through the 27th, and I saw most of you the night I came back, so you've heard a little bit about this, but I've had some extra news come in about the bills that we discussed at the legislative conference. The main one we talked about was going to raise the minimum age to be married in North Carolina to 18, and South Carolina is in the process of raising theirs now. We're second or third, one or two or three in the state and the country that still allow 14-year-olds to marry. But there's a lot of exceptions to that, so I'll get into that here in just a second. There's a bill right now in the Senate Rules Committee. It passed the Judiciary Committee to raise the age to 18. The original bill attempted to raise the minimum age to 18. Current law says it can be 14, but it also states the only instance a 14 or 15-year-old can marry is if that minor is pregnant or has had a child. And in that situation, they must marry the father or mother of the child. And then only after a court orders that it's in the minor's best interest can they obtain a marriage license. So not only do they have to marry the father or mother of that child and have to be pregnant, they have to have a court order to get married. And that's a 14 or a 15-year-old. That's current law right now. 16 and 17-year-olds can marry right now with a parent's permission. Since I've been registered, we may have had 3 instances where someone under 18 came in and got a license. I think all 3 of them were 17, and the person they were marrying were pretty close in age. I think 1 or 2 of them were over 18, but within a year or two. And that's the current law right now. The proposed change that passed the Judiciary Committee in the General Assembly a couple of weeks ago would keep the restrictions to 14 and 15-year-olds can marry if they're pregnant or has had a child recently. And the marriage, again, can only be to the mother or father. This new bill would add a restriction that the marriage cannot be to anyone more than 4 years older than that minor. So theoretically, right now, a 55-year-old can marry a 16-year-old. But this would stop that. This would limit to 4 years old, 4 years older than the minor. So this would cut down the General Assembly's thinking and some trafficking issues with minors. That was the goal here, I think. And so that change would help that situation, and 16 to 17-year-olds would apply to them as well. So anybody under 18, they couldn't marry anyone over 4 years older than themselves. It's important to note that this change has not been passed into law yet. It's only been approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it has not been considered by the full Senate or the House. So it's a long way from becoming law, but it's a good step toward bringing laws up to modern standards, I guess you could say. But like I said, it's a long ways from becoming law, but that's what we talked about at the conference. That's going to be a big change if it does pass. Not as big as it would have been, but it's still a big change. This summer, talking about the office, this summer I'll be implementing something I've talked about to the board before, not to this board, but either the board before this one, the one before that, something called the North Carolina Electronic Birth Registration System, which enables us to pull birth certificates from any county in the state. And I've been holding off on it because I found out they were going to do one for death certificates too. I said, well, I'll just do them both at the same time. And they launched that one in August this past year. So we just went through training on it. It was talked heavily at the conference 2 weeks ago. And I feel pretty comfortable with it. We're still going to have some in-staff training on the birth part because we just got trained on the death part. But it's all going to be controlled under this new database that North Carolina Department of Vital Records has called North Carolina DAVE, or Database Application for Vital Events. It's based in Raleigh. But the North Carolina Department of Vital Records is a subsidiary of DHHS. And right now, they can pull birth certificates from anywhere in the state, 1971 forward. So if you're over 50, you still got to go to the county that you were born in to get your birth certificate. The death certificate system will only pull from August 2024 because that's when it was launched. The birth was launched not in 71, but years later, but they imported that data. And I don't know when they anticipate importing extra data into the death certificate system. Certified copies are $10. That's set by the legislature, so every register of deeds in the state goes by that fee. This would add a $14 search fee. They're very proud of their system, and they get to charge a $14 search fee. So you can get if you were born in Pitt County, in Greenville, you can come here and get your copy once we do this, but it's $14 extra. But that saves you from driving to Greenville or ordering it from Greenville on their website and then waiting for it in the mail. You can come to Danbury, get your copy from anywhere in the state. You're going to pay $14 extra, and you can get it within minutes. So it is a convenience.
When does that start?
We're going to start it probably this summer in July or August. I've been talking about it for a while, but we just haven't done it because I heard about the death, so we're going to do both at the same time. The catch is, that's why it hadn't been implemented before, the catch is if they don't find one on file for you in Raleigh, they still charge us $14. And that's why Kathy never did it. That's why I haven't done it until now. It's still more of a convenience overall, but they still charge us the $14, even if they don't find one, because they did a search. But it's still, overall, it is a good system. It's going to be convenient. I'm looking now at the accounting details, so I'm going to be getting with Julie in the finance office, with the vital records office, and get what we need to get worked out to get the financing set up, because they're going to bill us monthly based off the number of searches that we've done. Like I said, it's going to be a good convenience for people. We've just never done it because we didn't like getting charged for a fee that we didn't really make use of. And some registers have not gone to it because of that, but I think 65, 70 counties are doing it. And it's hard to get to places from Stokes County, from Danbury especially, so if people don't want to drive, especially if it's a county, down east or in the mountains, it's a lot more convenient to come here and get it. So that's something I'm looking at this summer, and we're going to roll on with it. And the cost to implement, if it's anything, it's going to be from our vendor that we already pay monthly, just to put it on their computer system.
I got a question.
That's all I have, so any questions?
Or I forget it. I noticed there was one birth certificate. So does that mean a child has to be born in this county to register his birth certificate in this county?
Yeah.
And so you're not going to have many because we don't have a hospital, so it has
Right.
to be a home birther. So.
Yeah, so we have been on the same birth book for over 35 years, because we only have half a dozen or so a year. I think the oldest one in our current book was from 82 or 83. The hospital quit delivering babies in 89, so that's the last one we've got from them. Everything since has been emergency births or home births. Home births are picking up.
Yeah.
There's some people that like to do it at home, so, or have their babies at home. So
Not me, all 5 of mine went to the hospital. so.
yeah. So anyway, so but death certificates, we have plenty
Right.
of those. But birth certificates, most people, if you're 30 years or younger, you were born somewhere else more than likely. So that generation is going to be beneficial to more so than anybody else. But still, we've got
I just
people
never
that.
thought much about it till I saw that one birth certificate, and I was like, oh, okay, well, had to be a home birth, emergency birth, something, because, don't think about Wayne's delivering them in the ambulance, something.
It's happened before.
And we get, well, train left the station, so I'll let anybody else go that's got questions.
Any more questions or comments for Brandon?
No questions. I just want to say to you, this increase that I'm seeing that y'all are getting each month, I just want to say thank you for your hard work and thank your department, because obviously you're doing a lot of things right. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We're just doing what we can with what we've got.
We appreciate it.
I don't take credit for the housing market. I just have to anticipate the best we can.
Well, I know you guys are overworked more than usual, and we appreciate you
Oh, you're
getting all
welcome.
this right here to us and accurate. And it's good to hear about the marriage possibly getting changed to 18 with $4. I think it's comfort news, so definitely keep us up on that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our discussion agenda now. Item A, the senior services meals, fiscal year 21-22. Ms. Glenda Pruitt.
Good afternoon. On March 23rd, we sent out for requests for proposals for our senior meals. This provides approximately 190 meals for approximately 245 days. We actually had a lot of success on. We normally, when I come before you, there's only one, but we actually had 3. I was excited. With that being said, the Second Harvest Food Bank, they were the lowest at $3.90. So Vicky and I, since we had not really dealt with them a lot, we decided that we would go out and visit their facility. And we were very impressed. It was a larger facility than we expected. On the news you hear them where they do food drives and things like that. It was way more. There was warehouses of food. it was very impressive. Their kitchens were huge. That was the biggest stove I've ever seen. So, but anyway, after we met with them, Vicki had some questions and concerns because we haven't had a lot of success with more people with proposals. And her questions were all answered. She was very pleased when we left. We made a discussion on it. And so we are asking the board to give the contract this year to the Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer what I can.
Any questions, comments on this one? Commissioner Morris?
And Glenda, I was going to ask you if, you know, what kind of past performance they had and everything, because I think you've had pretty good success with the Golden Corral folks, but if all of what you were just talking about, it sounds like
Yeah.
you don't have any, you don't feel nervous about
Well,
having
at
these
first,
people do it.
At first we were, a little bit, but then Vicki had some issues with Golden Corral that it took a while to get resolved, and then it finally got resolved. And so, you know, I talked with her and I said, you know, we're going to go with your comfort level. And after we went out there, they actually showed us meals, because right now, my understanding from her, they're not doing hot meals for them daily. It's like a package type because of the COVID, but they're starting that back. But they were showing us their different plates, and she was very pleased with the amount of food that was in the ones that they had prepackaged. And we'll also get some of those for like the winter months. They provide some prepackaged meals for them. So she was very pleased with what she saw. So we were a little reserved at first also.
Okay.
But after visiting it, they have trailers that they transport all the food in. Apparently they're working with Surrey County right now also. And so Vicki called the references with the senior programs and spoke with all those. And they gave great reviews for what they're doing.
Great. I'm good then.
Great job, sound like you done your homework.
Well, we tried, because this one was kind of thrown us for a loop when we did have some, but we were glad.
I think our church uses them. We do the backpack program to provide the food for kids to take home
Mhm.
on the weekends, and that's where we get it from. It's good. They do a good job with that.
Everybody
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just so used to just coming back with Golden Corral that when I saw 3, I thought, all right, we got some competition now, so that's good.
We were excited also. We did send out to a lot more, but, you know, a lot of times the location we're in, it's hard to get them to do proposals, but we were excited
This is for
also.
the whole county.
Yes, yes.
How many sites do you have that?
They deliver to Walnut Cove, to King, and here in Danbury, and in Francis Cove. And right now, they've not been doing the Francis Cove one, they've just been delivering from here in Danbury, but that will start back up. Hopefully, by the end of this month, Vicki said they would have everything back going.
Yeah, thank you.
Linda, thank you. We'll
You're
move us
welcome.
to, on the action agenda for the next meeting.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to item B, the Stokes County Green Box Site Security Request. Mr. Oakley?
Mr. Chairman, on May the 4th, it was brought to our attention that the security team committee was called together because of an incident that happened in Pine Hall Green Box site. One of our workers was assaulted, and a fight did break out. And he handled it in a way that he kind of put an end to it as quick as he possibly could. And then he had the actual individual that works at the site to go inside because of making sure that she was taken care of. Because most of our attendants that look after these green box sites are elderly people. And they are retired individuals that are taking on part-time employment. And this was a truck driver that the incident took place with, one of the big trash trucks, and he was able to handle it a lot better than they would have had, and thank God he was there. And with that happened, the safety committee met, and they are recommending that we do some safety measures at our green box site locations. We have 8 of them throughout the county, with one of those 8 being the Sizemore landfill area, so you'd exclude that one because there's measures there already in place. So there's 7 actual sites. If you attached, you will see the map showing these locations. But the committee has requested that we put cameras at these sites so that we can at least see what has happened. And the sheriff's department can come back on something and see if they can recognize or identify anyone that does things like this right here. And with that, I'm bringing to the board that we move forward with placing the cameras here at these sites. They're already moving forward with placing locks on the doors. And we are recommending that these workers do not confront individuals anymore. The reason why this individual was confronted because he was putting stuff in there that did not belong in there, such as wood or metal. It has to go to the landfill. That's what that was taking place. He was handling this to where he's telling them, say, hey, if you don't mind, please stop doing that and carry this to the landfill and Sizemore Road. But they wasn't willing to listen to him. So once he was taking a picture of his license plate because they kept continuing placing this in the dumpsters, that's when the fight broke out. Anyway, they left by the time they seen that the sheriff's department was notified. And with that, I would go along with what the safety committee is recommending as far as the cameras being placed at these sites, making sure that our individuals are protected because, like I said, they are vulnerable, they are elderly, they are retired, they're there working, and there's not a lot of money in it. Most of it is just a little above minimum wage on top of that. But we're requesting that the board would move forward with some security measures there. And as soon as we find out exactly the cost on these cameras, and they're doing that now, and trying to come up, our new public works director, Stuart Easter, is heading that up and making sure, getting the price. And we'll bring this back to the board, and hopefully the board will be able to move forward with that. So.
And while he's getting prices together, would you mind, like some of these green box sites, the little hut where these attendants were staying at, it's kind of a distance away from some of the ones like coming in out like the gates on the other end. So any way of looking at putting like maybe 2 cameras at some sites, so if anything happens, you'll be able to get a good view of the cars coming in and out of the gate.
The sheriff recommended putting one that overviewed the site and then one that would actually capture a license plate going
Yeah.
out to be able to get them, coming and going, so you get a view, because he was in that meeting too, so.
So down in Stokes County, we even got talking about this.
Yeah, it was a bad incident.
It's sad that stuff like this will happen, but like I said, this truck driver was more concerned about the individuals that are working at these sites, and they're not able to handle such confrontations as this. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. So we need to protect these individuals and make sure that, maybe we can put some glass doors in front of these buildings to where they're locked, and it allows them to see better what's going on. But I think we just need to do a few little upgrades at our green box sites and some security measures. Once we get those prices up, we'll come back and hopefully the board will move forward with that.
Any more questions, comments on it?
Thank you, be able to have that by the next meeting.
I hope so, yes, sir.
He's working with IT on getting prices for cameras, so they were hoping to have some prices by the day, but we don't have them yet.
Was the gentleman okay? Got it salted?
Yes, sir. He was able to handle the individual from what I take from the meeting we had here, and he did not fight back. He just got him off of him and put us, I guess the way he got him off of him, he decided he didn't want it anymore. So anyway, he did see a gun. And once he seen the gun, he made the elderly tenant, go to the building and lock himself in and said, hey. But once he backed off and got away. So then by that time they loaded up and left. But it's a shame that we live in such a world that it is today. But things like that happen.
Over a dump site.
At a dump site. That's pitiful, isn't it?
Any more questions, comments on this? All right.
If it's okay, we can put it back on discussion if you want, but maybe with an option to move it to action depending on the price, they can go ahead and get moving and get those back, get those out there, so whatever the board would rather
I'm
do.
fine with that, if y'all are.
I'm good with it.
Thank you, Shannon. We'll move on to item C, the DSS board appointment request.
So from March 23rd through April the 23rd, we posted a notice for a vacancy on the DSS board. There's one position on there that's not filled right now currently. We did not receive any applications for it, neither here nor within DSS. So we left it posted a little longer, and finally we did get one application, and DSS Director Stacey Elm sent that to me, and that application is for Ms. Ann Vance. Stacey felt like she'd be a good addition to the DSS board. If anybody wants to make any recommendations for anybody that will be interested, we would post this advertisement once the board's okay with it and bring it back for the next meeting for final approval. But so far, this is the only application we've received since March the 23rd.
Okay.
So,
With that, I will open the floor for any further nominations. Somebody make a motion to close the floor.
Motion, we close nominations.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
we'll just make that to action for the next meeting.
You make that motion, you second, right? Okay,
I already made a motion, I second.
thank you. All right, move on to item D, the MS Week proclamation. Mr. Oakley?
Mr. Chairman, this is a proclamation of our EMS medical service workers week designated for May the 16th through the 22nd, and it is recognizing our emergency service medical team as providing life-saving measures 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas these places are included, which is in our hospital and other medical areas. And we also have the telemedicine that's also being used. And we also like to recognize these members and the life-saving skills that they do, and let everybody know that these individuals are well appreciated. And when you see one, shake their hands. Let them know that you appreciate everything they do and what they have been doing. And that we have this week as Medical Service Week. And therefore, let it be that the Stokes County Commissioners will recognize this event and hereby proclaim that May the 16th through the 22nd be Emergency Medical Service Week for our paramedics and EMTs.
Since that's this week, is the board okay with moving that to action tonight? Okay. Any questions, comments on this? All right.
That'll be item B, right,
Okay.
for action.
Good job.
All right, move on to item E, the legal services contract renewal. Ms. Shaver?
So attached on your agenda, you'll see the contract from County Attorney Browder's office. I didn't attach the old contract, I just put the new one on because there are no changes other than under number 3, the change in the retainer fee that you'll see on there noted. The current retainer fee for the annual fee was $72,000 paid in monthly installments. Mr. Browder is requesting an increase in that retainer fee to $96,000, increase in that monthly fee. And the entire contract is attached for review, but it's exactly the same as the previous year and year before that, except for item 3 under the retainer. So I guess if you have any questions on that, you can direct those to our county attorney.
Okay. Any questions, comments on this?
Or if there's things you want to change about the contract, I mean, it's just existing how it is.
I have a couple
Mr. Morse,
comments. Is the scope increased?
Well, there's more work involved. If you break it down into, look at it from a number of hours spent on a weekly basis, it would average, the new amount would average about 8 hours a week, which, it includes the attendance at the meetings, it includes the daily work that I do as far as emails, telephone calls, reviewing contracts. It seems the work increases every year, and the retainer has not been increased recently. Just to give you an example, last week I was in a 2-hour Zoom conference regarding the opioid litigation. This was with county attorneys all across the state and our legal consortium, which Mr. Oakley was in a Zoom conference
managers prior to that, so,
They are 2 hours long.
yeah.
Okay.
And, well, that's the request for your consideration. But, yeah, the work seems to increase every year.
Okay. One other question I had, I noticed in one of the budget amendments, Julia, that one where you were filling out the rest of the year for people. You know what I'm talking about, number 97, was it, or?
Yeah, that was, DSS was doing that.
Yeah, I noticed there was a $48,000 transfer in there for legal services. Was that just to,
That's just DSS.
just DSS additional work that they had to do beyond what was budgeted?
Yeah, it's on the foster care cases, adoption cases, and, because it's used for Ty and Kim grants.
Okay. Yeah, and that has nothing to do with
No,
what,
that has nothing
what
to do
you're
with
doing.
retainer.
That's totally separate. Well, all of those funds are not paid by all of those funds are not paid by the county,
No.
or DSF.
Yeah, they're shared like the other stuff down there, yeah. So we have, the attorney fees we have then in the county, just for information purposes, is what, your retainer plus an attorney for DSS that,
All that adoption and all that over DSS.
and then occasionally you get involved in something down there too, right? Don't they have to have your help occasionally or not?
No, I personally do not. Nick and Jennifer in the office handle child support enforcement, and also they assist in child protective services also, mainly with the termination of parental rights cases.
Okay.
Those as far as at the local level, and also appeals, they go to the Court of Appeals.
Okay. Okay, great. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
More questions, comments?
Can this be placed in our budget process as we go through?
We've got it placed in the budget for now, that'll be brought to you next meeting, actually, for the recommended budget, that the contract just would have to be renewed.
Right. I was just wondering, Jake is supposed to bring us his budget proposal at our next meeting, correct? May 24th.
Correct?
June the 7th is our public hearing
That's
on the
correct.
budget, correct?
Correct.
June the 10th is when we meet with the Board of Education.
That's correct.
Then we have 4 meetings after the June 10th meeting with the Board of Education. And I was just wondering, Mr. Chairman, if we can't just, we're within 3 weeks of really getting our budget, well, really 2 weeks with our county manager bringing his proposed budget to us. If we can't just work on our attorney's proposal once we get started with the budget, since we're only 2 weeks away with that. And, because when we get into those budget meetings, sometimes they last as long as 3 hours or longer. Those 4 that we'll have after the Board of Education. Just dependent upon, how everything goes. So I guess what I'm saying is can we just tie, it's not saying it, ties, that's why, ties contract proposal in with our, I didn't mean that, ties, just bring it up during our budget session.
It is in the budget. It also is for a term that will begin on the first day of July.
So you got it in your proposal at this time?
It is in the new budget.
And we'll get copies of all
This
that.
contract would just need to be approved and signed.
So we can do
We
that.
could put it off to action for your a meeting in June, maybe by the time you've had time to have some meetings about it, for you to vote on the actual contract
Yeah, you
itself.
can do that. That would be good.
Fine with that. Chris, board feel okay with that?
If I move it to the June 28th meeting, it would possibly be the meeting where you'd be approving the budget ordinance, maybe, and you could have the contract on there and then approve it as is, or with any changes you decided to make during the budget process.
right, move on to item F, broadband expansion discussion. Mr. Moore, Commissioner Moore.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I've got a proposal I'd like to throw out for the board to start thinking about. I'll pass you out a copy of it, handout. Got some extra ones, Shannon, for everybody else, audience included if there's none. Basically, just throw this out tonight. We can discuss it if you want to, or probably discuss it either at our next meeting or at a budget meeting or whatever. But just some thoughts I had on the way we could approach expansion of broadband in the county. So I'll just read through it right quick for the benefit of those who don't have a copy. I would like to propose a broadband expansion strategy for the board's consideration to connect more of the county's unserved and underserved residents. My proposal was triggered by the announcement of the one-time availability of what I think is $8.84 million in American Rescue Plan funds that may provide the county an opportunity for major broadband expansion in the county by the end of 2024. The first question that would need to be answered is how much, if any, of the ARP funds our board would be willing to commit to broadband expansion. My personal position would be a large portion, since I feel that high-speed internet availability is probably our top infrastructure priority. But whatever the board as a whole determined would be an appropriate amount, I would not advertise that number publicly for reasons which I'll explain later. Here's the strategy that I would propose for you guys to think about and discuss later. Stokes County would release a formally advertised solicitation for broadband expansion in the county by issuing a request for proposals to all interested broadband providers who would like to submit a proposal. The request for proposals would generally describe the remaining needs of the county to connect both unserved and underserved residents toward a goal of having the county 100% connected. I would include in the request for proposals that the county is willing to spend a portion of the American Rescue Fund plans, the American Rescue Plan funds. However, the exact amount would only be determined after the proposals were reviewed and analyzed to see what level of capability is proposed by each of the broadband providers that submit a proposal. This approach of not advertising the exact amount the county is willing to spend would hopefully focus the providers to propose based on their price, the level of broadband quality, and the other capability they can provide, instead of attempting to match an exact dollar amount that they would like to obtain from the county. Commissioners could then choose how much capability we want to purchase based on affordability and other competing budget needs. If the commissioners choose to release a broadband expansion request for proposal, it should probably be done relatively soon to ensure it meets spending deadlines for the American Rescue Plan funds or other broadband funding sources. As with most solicitations of this type, if the county goes through the RFP process and receives one or more proposals, the county would still be under no obligation to award any broadband expansion contracts with that money or with any other money. So in conclusion, I think all of our board members have publicly expressed their strong support for broadband expansion in the county. COVID-19 has highlighted the need for our schools to provide education virtually. Businesses and residential users have equally important needs for high-speed internet. So the availability of the American Rescue Plan funds may give the board once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to provide money where our mouths are to provide this important internet access to our citizens. That's just my proposal. I'll answer any questions or.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment on it. As soon as I got word to do is possibly getting this 8.84. That was the first thing that hit my mind on this. I wasn't ready to really say anything about it yet because I'm still uncomfortable until we get that money in and what the red tape is on it. We still don't know exactly what we can use it for, how much we're exactly getting, when we're getting it. So yeah, I do agree with you on everything you've got on this right here. I just wasn't ready to talk about it in public yet until we find out exactly what all was coming in and how much we're going to get and everything. I'd hate to say they're telling us 8.84, and next thing you know, they come in and drop it, oh, you got $1 million, you know. But, and yeah, we do have the end of 2024 to talk about this. That's the only comment I had on it.
Yeah, that's really a good point, and I should have even mentioned that because until we get the money, we'd have to budget it conditionally, just conditioned on the fact that we received it if we did. And I've just kind of been reading about it. I think I saw somewhere it may come in 2 payments, one sometime in the next couple of months.
I've been
Then one,
all the things, trying to find National Association of Counties, NCACC. I even emailed Kyle Hall to see if he had any ideas about it, because I'm just not seeing anything concrete anywhere. There's a lot of speculation of what we'll get, what we can use it for. And he said the same thing, that they've not gotten any guidance, they've not gotten any idea when they're getting funds, state or federal level, anything. So everybody's just kind of in a holding pattern.
okay,
They're saying, we think you're, I mean, there's a list on the NACO site that says Stokes, and it says the 8 point something, and it says
Yeah.
infrastructure, broadband, things like that. But just nobody's committed yet.
exactly.
And they don't.
Yeah,
seem to
and
either.
I would only, like I said, base it condition, or budget it based on the
Oh,
condition
yeah, yeah.
that we get it. But I just don't want to miss any deadlines. I read something that said if you do a project on it, it has to be done by 2024. So
Well, and
that
another-
kind of really triggered me to bring this up, because
It would need to be
you
completed.
got to move quickly. If you got to do something by 2024 and have it completed, then
Completed.
there's no time to waste once the money becomes available.
So
So,
the one thing about the CARES Act money, and if they do it the same way with the American Rescue Act funds, with the CARES Act funds, you couldn't use those funds for anything you had in your budget. They would consider that supplanting your budget. So it had to be things that you did not have in your budget, or you could cut out of a budget. Right, you can't take something you already budgeted for and then just use that money to fund it. So that's the kind of part two of how they worded in this one. If they set that same limitation, it makes it a little trickier, because you can't really budget for it until you see what you can do with the money. So
exactly,
they're
yeah.
holding everybody up a little bit with that one. I'm not sure what's.
That's one thing that's being aggravating right now, because we don't know anything about it. It's being too quiet.
Yeah.
And of course, I've had citizens approach me, and I'm sure every one of y'all have too, about the internet. And I've been as quiet as I can on it. The only thing I'm trying to say, I mean, we're trying to be our best stewardess with the people's money, because there's no sense in us taking out of the county budget. If this money does come in, we do get this money, we can use that money for it. And then again, I was also wanting to say, yeah, and I was also wanting to say, hopefully they was going to come out with this before budget time and saying, well, if we did use county money now, could we reimburse it? You know, was that part of it? But there's no way to find out anything on it, so.
I would say, my comment would be, I think it's a good idea to use part of the money to expand the internet. And as soon as we do know, I figure a lot of counties that are rural will be in the same boat with us. They'll want to do the same thing. There's not that many providers. So
Yeah.
you want to jump on it as soon as you can, get the RFP out there, and be ready to do that, because you're going to have just a few amount of providers to do a lot of work,
Yeah.
because there's going to be other counties thinking the same thing we are. So I want to,
If you guys will just review this then and see if you see any additions or deletions it needs, and then maybe we don't talk about it until we get some indication of what the money's going.
I like the idea
What they're gonna
of, not putting a dollar amount on it, just letting them know what it would, let them give us a proposal and see. And I will say, because some people were posting online of seeing the satellite train in Stokes County the last couple of nights. I went on Starlink just to put my address in to see when that internet is available, and it says, I put in an address in Francisco or Westfield, one just to see, and it says mid-2021 to the end of 2021. And you can go ahead and order it, and you can go ahead and be on their list, and I mean, it's about $100 a month for that, and it's anywhere, pretty much.
I think there's a lot of questions
But,
about
there's
its
still
capability.
questions. Oh, yeah.
When it gets a load on it, though. A
Yeah,
big load
it'd be
on it.
interesting to see how it works, but at least we know that
sure
might be an
it'll be
option for
loaded up.
some people.
I wouldn't underestimate Elon, though. So
No, I wouldn't either.
they may bid on it. Maybe they have a process for bidding on this stuff. I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. It
We
might
doing
be a
all right,
game
Pete?
changer.
It's just, just think about it, and then at the appropriate time, if you have any changes. I'm just anxious to get on with it somehow or the other.
Yeah,
Get what internet we can
Yeah.
connected.
that's what we've been waiting on.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions, comments?
All right, we'll move on now to the action agenda. Item A, the insurance renewal for fiscal year 21-22. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion.
I'm sorry,
Go
Wayne,
ahead.
go ahead, Wayne.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item B, the EMS week proclamation.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now move on to closed session. Shannon, if you would, please read the rationale for closed session.
To consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3. To consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the prescribed or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition of lease or real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5, and to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than a vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a Board of the County Commissioners or of some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
All right, I have a motion going to close.
Motion.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Closed.
Hit that, record that, and teach it.
Yeah, I hear that.
And hit unmute. And then audio, turn all those off. You're back live.
Look at you.
I have a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Now this.
What are we eating for lunch, Thursday?
Shannon?
I see her.
If you just do this. Shannon. If you